Paramount through all of this, Savannah and her family are our top priority. In addition to that, there is also a job. Swim upstream and praying for Nancy's stream. You're like, this works. It feels like breathing. It feels like this is the way.
Don't say those names on air. That is what producers were reportedly screaming into Hoda Kotb's earpiece. The tension in the studio was thick enough to cut with a knife. But Hoda didn't stop. She didn't hesitate. She looked straight into the camera, paused for a chilling second, and then she exposed everyone. And when I say everyone, I mean the names that were supposed to stay buried in the dark forever. The moment those names left her mouth, the entire studio went silent. These weren't just random names. These were the architects, the witnesses, and the silent partners directly connected to Nancy Guthrie's disappearance. People who were never supposed to be exposed to the public. One insider claimed the room froze, like everyone realized in that exact second that the walls of protection had finally crumbled. But here is where it gets even crazier. Within minutes of that broadcast, the digital world went into a meltdown. Clips started disappearing from official channels. Prominent social media accounts went private. One of the high-profile names she mentioned completely wiped their online presence within the hour, deleting years of history like they were trying to erase their very existence. Was it a coincidence, or was it pure, unadulterated panic? And then, a leaked message surfaced from within the network's internal server. 3 words that sent shivers down everyone's spine. She exposed everything. Think about that for a second. If what was revealed is even remotely true, then this isn't just a kidnapping anymore. This is a story of a massive conspiracy, a setup of betrayal way bigger than anyone dared to imagine. Why did Hoda risk her entire career, her reputation, and perhaps even her safety to expose everyone? And more importantly, who is trying to silence the truth now that the cat is out of the bag? On the surface, everything about Nancy Guthrie's life looked normal, peaceful, predictable. She was known as someone who stayed out of the drama, living a quiet life in Arizona away from the chaos of the spotlight. But according to the deep dive analysis of the names Hoda exposed, that quiet life may have been a carefully constructed shield. One source close to the inner circle revealed something chilling. There were tensions people just didn't know about. Financial entanglements, hidden legal disputes, and secrets that went back decades. And suddenly, that changes everything. Now, people are going back and rewatching old interviews, analyzing background details and photos, and questioning small interactions that once felt meaningless. Let's talk about the people Hoda brought into the light. Friends who suddenly stopped speaking to Nancy weeks before she vanished. Business associates who quietly distanced themselves and began liquidating assets. And then there's that one prominent name that keeps coming up behind the scenes. A person who, according to rumors, had a heated, private confrontation with Nancy just days before she disappeared. But here's what's truly uncomfortable. That fallout was never reported to the police. It was never discussed in the media. It was intentionally buried by someone with the power to make things go away. Why would something like that stay hidden unless someone very high up wanted it to stay in the dark? Then there is the reaction of those closest to her. From the outside, the family appeared strong and composed, doing everything in their power to push the investigation forward. But the exposure of these names is now forcing a new narrative. Insiders are making a shocking claim that the inner circle may have known exactly who was involved from day one. We're not necessarily talking about direct involvement in the crime, but knowledge, the kind of knowledge that keeps you silent out of fear or loyalty. One anonymous source said, the shock wasn't that she was gone. The shock was that Hoda actually said the names. Let that sink in. If that's true, then this wasn't a random mystery. This was an open secret among the elite that was never supposed to reach the ears of the public. In the weeks leading up to the night of the disappearance, there were strange patterns that investigators are now forced to look at because of this exposure. Unusual calls at 3 a.m. from burner phones. Late-night movements captured on grainy neighbor cameras showing luxury vehicles parked blocks away from Nancy's home. People showing up in places they had no reason to be. At first, it was brushed off as coincidence. But now, with the list of names Hoda dropped, those same details are being re-examined as potential coordinates for a kidnapping. This is exactly where Hoda's revelation hits differently. When she went live and started naming everyone, it wasn't random speculation or a slip of the tongue. According to deep source reports, those names were tied to high-level internal discussions that were never meant to leave the vault. She didn't just break the news, she broke the code of silence. The reaction was immediate. Within hours, social media turned into a digital battlefield. One viral post read, "Hoda Kotb just tore down the house of cards." And honestly, it's starting to feel that way. This is no longer just about a missing person. It's about a network of relationships, hidden agendas, and what many are now calling a coordinated disappearance. But let's look even closer at the digital evidence that is leaking out following the broadcast. Reports are surfacing about encrypted messages sent through high-security apps just hours before Nancy's home was breached. These messages weren't about mundane things. They were cold, tactical commands. One leaked snippet allegedly read, "The perimeter is clear," followed by a timestamp that matches the exact moment the home's security system was bypassed. If this is true, it means the kidnapper didn't have to struggle. They had the keys, either physical or digital. They knew exactly where to go, which door would be left open, and which cameras were actually recording. Even more disturbing are the claims that one of the individuals Hoda mentioned had been in direct contact with a fixer linked to the case after Nancy disappeared. Why stay in contact? Unless they were managing the aftermath. A leaked internal document recently surfaced online with a phrase repeated multiple times: coordinated involvement. This suggests that this wasn't the work of one desperate individual. This was a team. There are whispers of a private meeting held in a nondescript warehouse on the outskirts of Tucson just 3 days before Nancy vanished. According to a local witness, several figures matching the descriptions of the people Hoda exposed were seen entering the building under the cover of darkness. What was discussed in that room? And why was that warehouse scrubbed clean with industrial-grade chemicals just 24 hours after the kidnapping? But here is where the darkness gets even deeper. New reports suggest that one of the exposed names wasn't just a bystander, but a cleaner, someone whose job is to make evidence disappear. Investigators are now looking into a series of large, untraceable bank transfers that occurred just 48 hours after the broadcast began. Was someone being paid to stay quiet? Or was it a payment for services already rendered? A source deep within the digital forensics team has leaked that they found a kill switch in the Guthrie home's smart system logs. Someone didn't just turn off the cameras. They rewrote the code to delete the footage in real time. This level of technical sophistication points to a professional operation, not a random crime. And then there's the blackmail angle. Insiders are whispering that Nancy Guthrie may have been in possession of a digital file, a collection of documents that could have dismantled the careers of several people Hoda named on air. One witness claims Nancy was seen at a local library weeks before her disappearance, using a public computer to upload files to a secure cloud server. Was she trying to protect herself? Or was she preparing to blow the whistle on a corruption ring that reached far beyond the borders of Arizona? If she had leverage, her kidnapping wasn't just a crime. It was a preemptive strike to recover that data. Just when it felt like the story reached its peak, a private recording surfaced. An actual recording allegedly tied to one of the people Hoda exposed. In the audio, a voice, calm, controlled, and chillingly detached, says something that instantly sent shockwaves through the investigation. She was never supposed to be the target. Pause and think about that. If that sentence is real, then the entire case just flipped upside down. If Nancy Guthrie wasn't the intended target, then who was? Was she taken by mistake? Or was she taken to send a message to someone else on Hoda's list? Theories are exploding. Some believe Nancy may have stumbled upon evidence of a much larger financial crime, while others think she was taken to leverage a family member into silence. The paranoia in the coordinated group is now reaching a breaking point. A second audio clip has allegedly been intercepted by a third-party hacktivist group. In it, two of the named individuals can be heard arguing frantically. One says, "You said she was safe. You said Hoda wouldn't find out." This confirms that there was an internal leak. Someone within the inner circle grew a conscience. Or perhaps they just got scared and they fed the truth to Hoda. This, insiders regret, is the only reason the public now knows the scale of this setup. The group is eating itself alive. And it's only a matter of time before someone makes a full confession to save their own skin. At the same time, reports started coming in that one of the named individuals tried to leave the country via a private airfield. Flight records show a small jet took off at 4 a.m., heading toward a non-extradition country. No flight plan was filed until they were already in the air. Was that an escape attempt? Because innocent people don't usually flee in the middle of the night the moment their name is mentioned on a news broadcast. But here is the part that has everyone looking over their shoulder. Multiple sources are hinting that while Hoda exposed everyone we know, there is still one name, the shadow name, that hasn't been fully confirmed. This person is the one who provided the funding, the one who provided the protection. This person has influence that reaches into the very heart of the legal system. If they are finally named, it wouldn't just be a scandal. It would be a total collapse of public trust. The heat is rising. People are being watched, movements are being tracked, and the names Hoda exposed are no longer just faces on a screen. They are suspects in a global conversation. There's a rumor that a second leaked audio clip exists, one where a heated argument breaks out about who leaked to Hoda in the first place. Paranoia is setting in. The coordinated group is starting to eat its own. One person is reportedly ready to flip and go to the FBI because they realize they are being set up to take the fall for the person at the top. I want to hear from you. Hoda Kotb chose to expose everyone on live TV, knowing the consequences. Do you think she did it to save Nancy, or to save herself from being part of the cover-up? Why do you think the wrong target theory is shaking the foundation of this case? And that final hidden name, the one that pulled the strings, who do you think it is? Is it a business mogul, a high-ranking official, or someone we've been seeing on our screens every day, pretending to be a friend? Drop your theories in the comments right now. I'm reading everything. This story is far from over. In fact, now that everyone has been exposed, the real trial is just beginning. Stay ready, because the truth is finally coming out, and it's darker than anyone ever expected.